probably sick of hearing that, but... Okay, so what was I going to play? Oh yeah, we'll play some... is it Dan's choice?
This is my choice.
Okay, we'll get the information after we've heard from
I'll
it.
tell you it all.
Alright. It's Dan's choice on this week's Steve Show, BBC Six Music with me, Steve Merchant, my little gang here. Dan, explain yourself. What was the tune?
That was Vivian Goldman and Launderette, and I think Brian will love that.
Go on, why?
He will absolutely love that tune.
Brian's not been to a laundrette in 50 years.
No, but one, it'll keep him in touch with the working man, who perhaps does have to go to a laundrette. Secondly, that's an old sort of new wave, early 80s number that I dug out recently, and I couldn't believe that it's never been used on an advert, and it's got that really sort of groovy bass line. So it's either going to get sampled by, Kanye or something and used in a hip-hop record soon, or it's going to be used on an advert very soon. Or Kate Nash will do a cover of it, because it's got a Nashian feel to it.
Nashian
feel. She does that sort of singing, speaking thing that irritates Rufus. So there's three reasons. It's basically, that song is due for a rebirth. It's going to be huge over the next few months. I've guaranteed that.
Yeah.
And that's why Brian needs someone like me, perhaps, to point out these tunes that are, the dusty old gems that are going to hit the ads.
Hey,
cinemas.
He's come to the right place for all the latest old and new music.
So that one was for you, Brian.
That's taken care of. That's going to be huge over the forthcoming weeks. Of course, sadly, you're not. You're as tiny as ever. You realise it's creeping me out how tiny you are.
Sorry.
But don't worry, because I know you've got something else that you think might be useful to Brian. I'll come to that after we just heard this little trial. Bear with me 1 second.
Live music
on Six Music.
That's extraordinary.
What's going on?
Is there any way we can put that on the web now?
I don't know. I mean, just for the people out there, that's a picture on Facebook that I've been tagged in.
Yeah.
And it's from New Year's Eve, where I'm with a couple of friends, and I swear to you, I am about the same size as them. The guy on
in
the
real
right,
life?
the guy on the right who dwarfs me in this picture.
Yeah.
I'm about the same size as him, honestly.
Are you like?
And yet I look like a hobbit. I look like a hobbit.
You do look like a hobbit.
I don't know.
That's extraordinary. They've got to put that on the web.
Yeah.
Sure, we may want to pixelate their faces out, just so that, because we don't obviously get their permission. But it's your grin as well. It's like you're quite pleased with doing that. You don't realise anything's untoward here.
Yeah.
You're just going about your business. Little do you realise that the camera is capturing your true titchiness.
It's like they've won you or something.
Yeah, that's remarkable.
I went swimming in that champagne glass later that night.
But look at the size of the champagne glass compared. That's what's weird as well.
It's half the size of my torso.
Yeah.
What's going on? What is going on? Am I shrinking? I don't know.
Absolutely extraordinary. Well, listen, maybe I know that you are an incredibly physically tiny man, but you've got a vast extraordinary.
Yeah, it's enormous.
So I'm looking for stuff that will be of cultural or intellectual interest to Brian Grazer. Again, like I said when we had to get Kate where Kate flying, I like it when a sentence is said on this show that's never been said before. And I'm almost certain that there's no other radio programmes in this country that are currently concerned with the intellectual well-being of Brian Grazer. But anyway, we are, and that's the nature, that's the excuse for this week's show.
Yes.
And Dan, what can you offer that might be of interest to Brian?
Well, this is interesting actually because it's more in the world of science than that of the arts. And I apologise already because there's some quite complicated stuff, but I've tried to distill it to the very, very simple basics.
Yeah.
So we're dealing with nuclear quantum theory, of course, which very briefly deals with trying to understand very, very tiny things, atoms, molecules, myself, obviously, that sort of thing. So the theory of really, really tiny atoms contradicts the theory of the universe, as propagated by Einstein. It doesn't quite match up, and physicists and scientists have always been trying to work out why that is, and they've never quite solved it. The great minds, Hawking, Vorderman, Goody, none of them have cracked it. So at the right now, as we're speaking, right now in Switzerland, there's a tunnel which links Switzerland to France.
Right.
But scientists have colonised it, and they've built what can only be described as a large hadron collider.
Oh my God!
Yes, that's the only way I can describe it, Steve.
Are they going to be bashing Goody against Vorderman in an effort to see if they can kind of meld together in one giant brain?
Kind of. What they're going to do, and again, the science comes in here, but they're going to take small particles in this space, they're going to accelerate them, it gives them information that they can use, and they're hoping to find out about this mysterious component called the Higgs boson.
Okay.
Which apparently, if discovered, might help us understand the entire universe.
That's useful, that's handy.
Now, they're going to try this later on this year. There is one side effect, one downside. It's possible that when they turn it on, it may cause the destruction of the entire universe.
Right.
So that's a downside.
Sounds like a time for some new music. No, sorry. sorry, hang on. It might cause the end of the world, right? That's a little bit of a worry.
Yeah, not just the world, the universe.
Oh, the entire universe.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm pretty certain that BG is interested at this point.
Yeah.
He was dozing off earlier. He didn't get the Vorderman reference, but Brian's ears have perked up.
He's buzzing now.
Yeah, he's thinking, is there a movie in it? Is what he's thinking.
Yeah.
But so the world could end. I mean, as far as I'm aware with this story, we could generate a black hole. Probably when we switch on the machine.
I believe so,
and
yeah.
the
Which
world
will
gets
suck
sucked into
the
it.
entire world. It becomes sort of antimatter, and everything will be destroyed, and possibly take the whole universe with it.
Yeah. And when are they going to switch that on?
Well, it's sometime this year. I'm not sure exactly when. It might be in the summer.
Well,
It'd
it
be a
was
shame.
planned for November 26th last year.
Oh, was it?
Because I heard about it and got really upset because that was the day before my 21st birthday. I wasn't upset that the whole universe might be destroyed. I might miss my own party.
Yeah.
That's what I was gutted about.
Couldn't they at least wait, another
Exactly.
week? Sure.
So they have put it off. So I'm hoping they are eventually just going to not do it. There's no need to reenact the Big Bang. We're here. Let's accept it. Let's move on.
Wait a minute, does Bono know about this?
No, he doesn't. But Bob Geldof does.
Does he?
He apparently said that the meaning of life is life itself.
Right.
So that's Bob Geldof's take on it, and
Great.
he was in Live Aid and the Boomtown Rats.
So it's come May time. We should
Yeah, I'm not
seriously
sure if
think
it's
about.
May, but certainly the summer, and they say it's unlikely, but who knows?
I think we've got some, because I'm instantly thinking is we should have some giant sort of Steve Show anticipatory, photon processing button thing pressing, a countdown. But also, I got interested to know what you would do the day before it gets switched on. I'm thinking we should probably go berserk.
A couple of ideas.
Have a think about that. We'll talk about it in a sec. Got to squeeze in some more music before the news. It's good that even the most lofty of intellectual ideas we can reduce to an amusing radio chat.
Nice.
Anyway, here's a new tune from Son of Dave. Old Times Were Good Times. Son of Dave, new single, Old Times Were Good Times. It's Steve Show B6 Music. We have to go to the news. We're just talking about the fact that the world might end this summer. Looking forward to that. And I was just thinking actually what I would like to do on that final weekend. And do you know what I'd like to do? Just smash something up. I'd really love to just get a bar and just smash it up with a golf club or something. I've always thought that looks really good fun. You see it in films.
In a pub.
Yeah, exactly. So smashing all the bottles behind the bar.
Yeah, the mirrors.
The mirrors could go crazy. If there's people in the way, give them a good wallop. Who cares?
What a
Be nice,
lofty
be interesting.
aim.
It would be interesting. I'm not saying a good thing. It would be interesting to kill a man. Just to find out how it feels. Okay, we can't go to the news. We'll be back after that with more advice for billionaire Brian Grazer.
On digital.
From 1980, The Jam, of course, and their first #1 single. You might be interested to remember. And Going Underground. So it's a Steve Show, BBC6 Music, with me, Steve Merchant, and my little gang here of Whatnots. And the Whatnots. Stevie and the Whatnots. Fantastic. A doo-wop act from the 50s. And this is a show dedicated entirely to the billionaire film producer Brian Grazer. If you've only just joined us, Brian is on the lookout for a sort of cultural attaché which chimes magnificently with our ambitions for the Steve Show 2008. Now, just a little bit more information on Brian, by the way. I was reading online, and this is obviously someone's opinion of him in an article online. It says, unlike his Ivy League educated peers, Brian Grazer is essentially a street hustler. He doesn't read much. There's a feral quality about him. And then in brackets, nicely, they describe what that means. Wild, savage, not domesticated. So we're very much looking for interesting tidbits and facts for a man who is a billionaire and yet occasionally dumps on the carpet. So, but prior to getting on to more useful Brian Whatnots from my gang, we were also talking about the fact that the world is likely to end in the summer. This is something that Dan has informed us about.
Yeah.
And we're a little edgy about it, but we're embracing it. I'm always reminded of the films Spies Like Us at this point. If you remember in that film, Dan Aykroyd and Chevy Chase, they discover that nuclear bombs are on the way, they're going to blow everything up. So they just make love to a couple of Swedish women in a tent. That's the way they deal with the end of the world. And so obviously I want to smash something up on my final day. Rufus, you're super posh. How would you spend your final hours?
Steve, smashing things up is something that gives me huge pleasure as well, but also covering them in vivid paint. So I think what
okay.
I'd do is I would dress up in a very smart suit, either listen to Going Underground or something similar on a pair of headphones, and then just run into various shops in London's glittering West End, pursued or accompanied by butlers with tins of emulsion on small caddies.
Yeah.
I would pick up red paint and just throw all over the walls of which I don't like, which I object to, and then as soon as that tin is empty, I grab the next one.
So, in the event that the world doesn't end, you in a sense made a kind of interesting, dirty protest against sort of capitalism.
Yeah,
It's sort of quite, it serves several functions.
I think heads would turn. I think as you said, the world didn't spin on its axis, and it did survive until the following day. There'd be a lot of people turning to me and go, "Would you like to be our new leader?"
Yeah, sure, exactly, yes, which is wonderful. So it's a win-win for you.
I pretty much see it as I can't fail.
Listen, don't be afraid to pop down to the pub that I'm smashing up with a couple of tins of paint, and by all means go berserk.
Can I borrow your golf club?
By all means, I should bring it, and I shall have a caddy with me.
Okay.
A selection of, for the back room, maybe a 3-wood.
Excellent.
Is there a 3-wood?
Yes.
Good, excellent. And I'm a man who plays golf. So there we go. I don't know, I'm terrible. Dan, tiny Dan, you wouldn't be able to reach, obviously, a lot of the... you would be,
No, and smashing things up, terribly dangerous, because if I dislodge a paint tin, it would crush me, so...
You're a very mild man as well, I can't imagine that would suit you on your final day.
I think it's important to stress as well for panicking listeners out there that, it may not happen, it may not destroy the entire universe.
Okay.
So they're going to flick a switch in Switzerland, there's going to be some big science, and it may not destroy the entire universe. It's important to stress that, which makes it difficult to think about this day, because it's not necessarily consequence-free. The idea of your last day on Earth is that you could do anything, it doesn't really matter, does it? You get sucked into a black hole the next day, but that may not happen.
Sure.
So I'd probably just go around just telling a few lies to people.
Just telling a few lies to
sending
people.
some inappropriate text messages. But the sort of thing that I could recover my life if we don't all get sucked into a black hole, and I could rebuild, what remains of my life after those little lies.
So you could tell someone that you've always quite fancied, say Mick Hucknall.
Yeah.
And then that's, although it's embarrassing, it's not something that's
I could
irreparable.
probably come back from that just about. I don't know if I could actually, no.
I actually think if they are indeed pressing a button, there seems no reason why Dale Winton couldn't host it, and we couldn't actually have that as a BBC One ceremony on a Saturday night as we press
clap
it.
as the band.
Like when someone comes in a cricket match to bowl, and either you'll be sucked into infinity or not.
Well, it's like a reverse lottery, isn't it? Because chances are nothing will happen, it won't change your life. Or everybody loses.
Exactly.
It's brilliant. It's
And
like
just to give you a sense of how horrific it could have been, if it doesn't end, Dale just says, "And here's the new single from Westlife," and they come on, obviously the boys, and do an a cappella version of some tat, and we think, the black hole would have been blessed relief. If you're a new listener, I'm not just jumping on the anti-Westlife bandwagon. I loathe the boys. I think they're atrocious. But Harry, how would you end that final day?
Well, my concern is, Steve, that everyone's going to know about this, so everyone's going to be treating it like it's their last day. So, I mean, while I'd like to do the sort of Michael Douglas thing, the falling down thing, going around pointing out society's foibles with a gun and just basically going mental, my concern is everyone's going to be doing this, so I would probably just sort of hunker down in the basement with some new music.
Of course you would.
Yeah.
Of course you bloody well would. And why not?
Oh yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
A few killer tunes to see the world out.
Absolutely, yeah, no. And Sammy, finally from you, what were your final thoughts on that final day?
I'd either get a massive tattoo, because then you've always got a good story behind the tattoo. Why have you got that huge tattoo? I thought I was going to die. Oh well, that seems to justify it. I'd also love to run around most of my favourite haunts completely naked, because I've always wanted to anyway, and that is something I think you could recover yourself from. You could say it was an artistic thing, a protest, again, a liberation, but I've always wanted to do it. Why not?
What kind of tattoo? Perhaps a tattoo of a black hole?
How would you do that with ink? I'm not sure if you could represent that.
That'd be a large black circle,
sufficiently.
sure.
Yeah.
A large black circle.
It's a big freckle. I don't know, but maybe something right across my back or my face.
Okay, great. Well, I look forward I'm really looking forward to summertime now. I think this is going to be dynamite. We'll have a big sort of final show, big send-off. Maybe get some small indie band to come in and play some of our new tunes. Give them an opportunity to get a little bit of exposure so late in the day. And and then our 14 listeners can celebrate with us. All right, well, talking of Sammy, that sounded like I was going to